All right, next item is C1, which is presentation of the recommended FY16 budget. Diane is handing out to you two things. One is a copy of the PowerPoint slides. The other is our citizens budget in brief, which is our continuing attempt to make the fun world of government budgeting more understandable and enjoyable for our citizens, focusing more on the services we provide, but also explaining how the budget works and how that relates to service. So this will be available both online and in hard copy. Later today you'll get the actual budget books, the big stack of detailed books. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time just give you an overview, because we do have a budget workshop scheduled for next week and a couple of other workshops and public hearings where we'll start to drill down into the budget. So with that, the FY16 budget is titled here Supporting Community Prosperity, which ties back really to the board's strategic plan focus on prosperity. I tell my folks, the Hillsborough team that provides service, that the only reason we are here, the only reason why my organization exists, is to provide service to citizens. And it's not just service, it's also customer satisfaction, because as someone reminded me earlier this week, Mark Ash, the CEO of TransPro, customer service is like serving tomato soup with a fork. You get a lot of activity, but not much nourishment and not much enjoyment. So customer satisfaction is the other side of that. So we have to provide good service, but also provide good satisfaction. Why is that important for prosperity? Because community prosperity only really works if each individual in the community feels that they are prospering. And that's really how you build that level of achievement in the community. Individual prosperity starts with every interaction that we have with citizens at every service level and every satisfaction level. So just a quick overview. I believe that this board and my administration over the past 5 years has demonstrated fiscal responsibility, some indicators, some trends. Millage rates have not increased over 23 years, although they've been small increases every year. It's added up to a pretty significant amount of money, just about over 3 mils over 23 years. Cost of service to citizens is 11% lower than it was in 2007. Funded positions in my organization are 22% less than in 2008. And based on the recent voter survey, you're all doing a great job.
We really appreciate that you put that in here.
My pleasure.
And to Mike and Steve, please add that in.
The trumpets and the flags are coming, and so. But seriously, the recent voter survey indicated a 70% positive rating for the board. It also indicated that 58% of those surveyed said that the county as a whole was doing a good job. So 58% is great. I'd like it to be in the 90s, but we're building towards that. So good indicators of where we are. So what's going up? Sales tax and property tax revenue are going up about 6.2%. Area job gains about 31,000, and home sales are again holding strong. What's going down? The unemployment rate, foreclosure rates, and very proud of the reduction, 30% decrease in street homelessness as a result of the most recent point in time count. So more community service, lower costs, better outcomes. Just a few examples: pet adoptions were at a 76% success rate, which is unprecedented in this county. This is truly something we can be proud of. Just in a little over one short year, under the leadership of Scott Trebotowski, our new pet resources director, we are definitely headed in the right direction. Fire rescue, 62% of our responses in 7 minutes or less. Code enforcement, 17,500 cases resolved. Economic development, over 4,000 jobs, $240 million in capital investment. And consumer protection, $400,000 worth of value recovered for citizens. So, the budget. It's always a challenge to break down this budget because it's not like a family budget. It's not like a corporate budget, but as we fine-tune and hone our narrative on this, I think that looking at it in terms of how the budget gears, so to speak, drive service, our total budget is $4.7 billion, but $3 billion, $3 billion of that $4.7 billion we can't use to pay for daily operations. $1 billion of that is really not even cash. It's accounting adjustments, it's transfers. A big chunk of it is reserves that we have to keep on hand that we can't use for operations. And the other big piece is our capital budget and our debt service budget. So right off the top, $3 billion of the $4.7 billion can't be used for operations. So then we have to go down to a lower gear. The lower gear is what we're calling the citizen service budget, which is this nice piece that we delivered, $1.83 billion. So now we start to get into things that people see tangibly that they pay for. So this would include our water and sewer utility, our solid waste collection and disposal utility. It also includes constitutional officers' budgets, the sheriff, tax collector, property appraiser, clerk of the circuit court, and others. It does, though, include the next lower gear, which are the administrator's general fund budget items of about $376 million. So you can see, as we're shifting into lower gears, we went from a $4.7 billion budget down to a citizen service-based budget of $1.8 billion, and then the piece that really relates to property taxes and sales taxes as a funding source is about $376 million. And what does the administrator's general fund budget pay for? What does it buy? So it buys all of these things: public safety, fire rescue, financial capital, social capital, which would be social services, the variety of social services we provide, and physical capital, which would be our infrastructure, roads, stormwater, and so forth. So when you take out the fire rescue piece, which is an essential public safety item, we're down to closer to the $210 million level of a budget availability. So that's a generic way of breaking down our budget into the piece that really affects most of the decisions that you'll make over the summer, and that is on that county administrator's general fund budget. Some key budget facts. As I said, the taxable values for FY16 increased 6.2%. The recommended budget includes $2.9 million of increased fees for fire rescue, ambulance, transports, and fire inspections. And that's really designed to recover more from commercial insurance companies, money that we're leaving on the table that those insurers would otherwise pay when someone unfortunately needs ambulance service. Our general fund reserves are being held constant. Those are not being touched. Something that we're going to be bringing to you later this year relates to health insurance costs for employees. We're seeing an uptick in health insurance costs. We have some solutions that we do want to bring to you. They're not really incorporated in this budget, not to change benefits, but to look at ways to incentivize better health and to get better results so that we can get a better handle on our health insurance costs. So the budget does actually include an increased contribution to the health insurance fund because our actuaries have said that we're getting to a point where we need to keep that above water. And finally, the overall budget, excluding accounting adjustments, increased less than 2% over this year's budget, FY15. So as we build the budget, we look at new revenues we have to work with. So we have ad valorem and sales taxes, which represent a significant portion of our new revenues. We have one-time dollars. One-time dollars are monies that we draw down from our sales tax reserve, our working capital reserve, if you will. Those are just for one-time expenditures. And again, fees, I mentioned the fire-related fees, ambulance fees, efficiencies that departments have generated, about $850,000 in efficiencies in the FY16 budget, and financings that we're recommending be done. So all of those one-time sources then, we have focused this budget from a service delivery, from a process delivery on these things: maintaining existing infrastructure, taking care of what we have, whether it's buildings, roads, etc., enhancing public safety, which is our key mission, and intensifying economic development, and finally addressing service needs that have been increasing as we've come out of the recession for parks, cultural assets, and customer service. So we had roughly, between recurring revenue and one-time revenue for FY16, about nearly $100 million of new revenue to work with. That represents what I consider a modest 5% increase in the cash budget, because that does include just normal inflation for providing costs. So that $100 million is broken down into these uses. You can see them by percentage, again, focusing on, first of all, right off the top, that money has to go to take care of our contracts, mandates from the states and the Fed, from the state and the feds, and our other commitments. That's 29%. Secondly, we need to take care of our existing assets and public safety. That's roughly 14%. 9% goes of that increased dollar amount goes to constitutional officer budget increases. That's about 9%. Economic development, redevelopment is about 23%. That leaves 25% of that increased revenue dedicated to a variety of community services. Those uses are described both in the budget message that I sent to you on Friday, as well as the last page, second to last page, page 12 of the little booklet that we handed out. So that gives you, you as well as citizens and those who are interested, an idea of how that roughly $100 million, $98.8 million is proposed to be spent in FY16, both for county administration recommendations as well as legislative policy initiatives that you have brought forward. So with that, I'd like to first of all thank my staff, my entire staff that worked very hard, because we are moving more rapidly. It's taken a while, moving towards a more service-based budget presentation that really starts with understanding what our customers want and need, designing our processes to suit what our customers need, and then finally designing reliable metrics that will show everyone how we're doing against our promised expectations. We are doing much better in all those areas. This budget represents getting even closer to that goal. So my entire organization deserves acknowledgement for that. Particularly, though, I'd like to recognize Tom Fessler and his budget staff. I'm convinced Tom doesn't sleep. I'd see him at Go Hillsborough events, till 10 o'clock at night, and there he is the next morning working on the budget. So thank you very much, Tom, for all of your hard work and your staff. Through all of this, they have also been contending with the assimilation of our new financial system, our ERP system, trying to get that implemented and work out the bugs that always occur. But they've really put their shoulder to the wheel. And to Bonnie Wise, my chief financial administrator, who is always my reliable and trusted advisor to help us get through this, my entire staff. So again, I'll take questions, but we're focused, laser focused on customer service and customer satisfaction, and that's a journey that never ends. We've got a lot of help to get there, and I appreciate your support along the way and all the good things that you've done to help us. So with that, again, we have a budget workshop next week. We can get into more detail, but I'll be happy to answer questions.